Hi, everybody. This is Madhav here from the Remote Marketing Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about structuring bonuses. The reason I wanted to kind of cover this in this topic is just so happened that in the last 3 months, I've restructured bonuses for two of my team members, and just wanted to record those thoughts as they're fresh because I spoke to a couple of people when we were designing these bonuses, and then we wanted these bonuses to be kind of like the best version of the bonuses we've done in the past. So today's episode, we're going to talk about how to structure a bonus, why have a bonus, some general guidelines from our experience, and yeah, hopefully we'll be able to cover this topic in detail. Um, and by the way, the reason I kind of brought this up is because I did a study about 2 years back where we analyzed what were kind of like the top job perks, for any remote job. What do the remote workers really want? And then one of those top perks was actually bonus slash profit sharing, kind of in the same bucket. But that was one of the top perks. They wanted that, and they actually, remote workers actually prefer bonus and profit sharing over equity. um, that's what we realized while analyzing job descriptions and talking to people, right? Now, you know besides that, like, or like, let's move away from that fact and let's just kind of talk about really like, why have a bonus, like why should you have a bonus when you're already giving like a salary to your remote worker, right? um, Personally, I feel bonuses are a great tool to improve the performance of each employee. You need to but obviously you need to structure bonuses so that they're realistic to reach. But employees have to kind of push a little extra to get those targets. um, and it's almost like kind of having a little bit of skin in the game. It kind of pushes them. So when we were kind of designing bonuses, there were certain guidelines that we basically look at, when we were doing that, right? The first thing, number one thing, is that bonuses should always be linked to company revenue performance, for them to kind of make business sense. If the company, hits a certain revenue milestone, you get that, right? Um, you know, be it could be a direct link to company revenue, especially if it's kind of like a sales KPI, or it could be an indirect, indirect link to the company revenue. For example, developers kind of working on reducing churn, and they have to, let's say, ship out a certain set of features. If they do that, then our expectations is going to indirectly have that, right? But there should be, in some, like, team members should know why these bonuses are there and when would it make sense if if, like, for example, there's companies can't really give out bonuses if there's no increase in revenue, right? And that is kind of like, you need to kind of give that insight to your employees, that bonuses should be linked to company revenue performance and need to make business sense. The second thing is, a bonus should be kind of significant enough to be motivational for the employee, right? So if, let's say, you're giving out, if someone's, you know, package is whatever, maybe like, 50K or 100K, right? And the bonus is just 1% of their salary. It wouldn't be good enough to kind of push them, to get that extra performance. You need to have it as a significant bonus for them to be, um, for it to kind of make sense. So in general, I'd say, it should be somewhere about 10 to 20%, maybe 30% if the goals are more difficult, and but I think 10% is kind of like a good enough mark, obviously plus minus 5 or 15% based on whatever the company can afford, right? Then the third thing is, we've talked about that bonuses. Number one was bonuses need to be, need to make business case and should be linked to the company revenue, directly or indirectly. Number two was, bonus should be significant enough to be motivational for the teammate. Number three is bonus should be achievable, and ideally you want to structure the bonus so you can give the bonus to your teammate. It shouldn't be a way to kind of limit them, but to kind of push their performance. So you want to structure the bonus in a way that, the goal is a little bit of a stretch goal, but it's totally, totally achievable, right? That's when it'll be, you can really get the best, you know, benefit out of it, right? So that was number three. Bonus should be achievable. And last thing is, um, with any bonus, right? You once you've kind of structured and decide the bonus, I would highly urge you to kind of have monthly syncs with the teammate to kind of check in on the bonus progress, and maybe course correct, if they're lagging behind on their numbers, or their objectives or OKRs, just so that it's made sure that the bonus amount, like at the end of the bonus period, should never come across as a surprise for them, good or bad. They should be expecting it that yes, they were kind of on track, and yes, they will get the bonus, or no, they were not on track, by midway into the month, right? Um, and that's why I feel that with monthly syncs with your teammate, kind of check in on like how the bonus is, how their OKRs are progressing and how it relates to the bonus will kind of give them a reality check on really how they're moving forward. These are kind of like the four general important guidelines that I'd recommend when you're kind of like designing a bonus, right? Now, when designing a bonus, right, it needs to be fair, so I spoke, I've obviously spoken to both candidates and employers, and heard their side of the bonus structuring. And keeping in mind, I have a little bit of a framework, right? So it basically starts out like this. You start with a rough structure with exact numbers and present it to the teammate, right? So for example, if let's say I was designing the bonus structure for one of my marketing team members, I just I decided to kind of make it super simple, like so not a lot of variables, just one or two KPIs, and there's not a lot of room to kind of that they're not 100% responsible for it or not. I just kept it one, simple. One KPI, one growth percentage, and one small caveat. That's it. And they have it all under in their control, right? So I basically kind of created a rough structure with exact numbers based on what I felt was right, and then I got on a one-on-one with my teammate and I kind of presented it to them, right? Um, and then the next step is, in that call, you kind of gauge their reaction. If it's positive, then that's their bonus. Obviously that means you've done a good job. If, however, they express dissatisfaction, give them a little bit of insight on how you structured this bonus, how you kind of came up with the numbers, what is your thinking about the bonus, and what factors you took into consideration to decide those numbers, right? um, because they need to kind of understand your side of it, right? Like how you structured the bonus, what were the limitations, everything, because you put in there. Sometimes, for example, you don't select a certain KPI because that's not, like, for example, a simple example is in marketing, right? A simple KPI is signups, or it could be the number of free trials, or it could be the number of paying customers, right? And let's say if you decide, I mean, if you've got to decide a KPI for, let's say, the demand gen lead or something, right? And you set that as number of paying customers, right? That may not be the accurate picture, right? Because they're only focused on the acquisition part. They're not really focused on the conversion side or the retention side, right? And so they won't be able to influence. They can get people to sign up. That they have 100% control on. But beyond that is a product team's job, right? So that wouldn't be the most perfect KPI for them. So if based on that thinking, if you decide signups, you give them that insight that this is how you thought, this is how you kind of decide the KPIs. So now the teammate understands your point of view and how you kind of decide the bonus. Um, then what I would urge you, in that call, is kind of hear out their concerns on what they didn't like about the bonus. For example, and it could be a lot of different things. Maybe the bonus payout isn't significant enough for them to be kind of motivated to work the extra effort, right? Or maybe the bonus is too hard to achieve. The numbers and the goals are really, really difficult to achieve. um, or maybe the bonus is probably lower than last year, or maybe the bonus is just very demotivating, or maybe the bonus structure isn't appealing. Whatever that reason is, you need to hear out their concern and find out what that is, right? And once you've heard out their concerns and everything, obviously list those out, right? But you basically ask them, ask them to propose a counter offer for the bonus, that they feel is kind of motivation enough to them, and is fair to the company, and then they'll kind of then they'll obviously try to understand, because now they know my perspective on how I structure the bonus, and what the company needs and what's good for them. They will come back with a potential counter offer, and that would possibly the right bonus structure to kind of do, right. So just to kind of like that is ideally the best way to do that, so you don't really nail down the bonus in one go. Um, but in maybe two or three settings, you should be able to get the final bonus. But that's, I would say, kind of go ahead with like that. It's almost like a salary negotiation, except that you need to kind of hear both sides and kind of give a whole overview, right? And then the last thing is, when you're kind of structuring bonuses, there could be two types of bonuses that you can kind of set up, right? One could be a performance linked fixed bonus. You hit these numbers, you get a fixed amount, right? And then the other is, an unlimited variable bonus, which is basically that based on the growth percentage, in their KPIs, they can, for example, for every 1% increase in the number of signups, you'd get, let's say, $4,000 as the bonus, right? And if you have like 5%, then it's 20K. It's 4 into 5. So you can also structure it like this, right? So these are two both these are both good ways. You have to make sure what the person's roles and responsibilities are, and what kind of results you're looking from them, and all of that. And then you can structure your bonus basically. So I mean, these are just some general guidelines about kind of structuring a bonus as such. I hope you found some value out of it if you're kind of thinking about how to kind of structure a bonus. If you have any questions, anything, just feel free to come back to me. Just because I've set up these bonuses, they're super fresh in my mind, so I can answer any questions you have. But if there's anything else to add here, feel free to email me at madhav@remotemarketing.org. This will be a short episode, but I hope this is something that you can consider. Bonuses are really, really powerful to kind of get the teammates going and really pushing harder. Because usually what happens in jobs is that if they're on like a fixed salary, there'll be a point in time where they kind of get bored and stuff, and then um, what happens is that there is no real reason for them to kind of push harder, right? Maybe they're going through productivity patches, whatever. But if they know that if they perform really, really well, they will get that bonus by the end of the year. So they still push through, by the end of the year. And this also kind of relate. I mean, it slightly partially also helps with employee retention. So usually, right about in 1 year mark of any employee, they'd start reconsidering that should they be at the company, should they not be at the company, and everything, right? And to avoid that, what you can do is that after 1 year, you obviously have this bonus, give them out, and then you set up a new bonus. And now you're pretty much sure that for the next 1 year they will be with the company, because they want to get that bonus, right? Like, let's say they work for 6 months, they don't want to leave the company just because they have, if they work the next 6 months, they'll still get the bonus amount, right? So they'd want to leave after the bonus is there. So it partially kind of helps with employee retention as well, which is also a great thing, when you're kind of building a good team. But as such, I feel that bonuses are a great way to kind of push your team members, and also they help kind of create like this really performance oriented team. And it's also a good way to kind of really reward the employees that actually do well, and that really push towards your company's goals, and bring in these new ideas, and find that. So anyway, I hope you found value in this episode, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.